Hello everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
And welcome to JS News. I wonder why this is not working. So today we have a lot of very technical difficulties.
We do.
And we're really sorry that we're late. But at least we're three again. The three great JS News buddies. Yeah, that's fun. So what do we have today? What are we gonna be talking today about?
Well, we're gonna begin with the most important update, which is the React 18 release and the features that it will have. Then we'll talk about some Typescript, I believe, and we have some tools, right?
Yes, we do have some tool updates, and yeah, and also some articles to discuss. So
Of course.
we don't have a lot of time. Let's go straight into it. React 18 has been in the talks for a while, and now, well, not now, but on the March 8th, which was like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure what day it is today, but it seems accurate.
Yeah, so we actually have the first release candidate, and according to their roadmap, this release candidate should be followed with an actual production release a couple of weeks after that. So we are right now a couple of weeks after that. So maybe in the next upcoming days we're gonna see a new React version stable and ready to use. So what is the most important features of React 18?
If I remember correctly, it was something to do with the suspense, right? That you're able to now await suspense.
Yeah, so a lot of concurrent things. And
Concurrent features.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how it's
So before we had concurrent mode, which would either you would opt into the concurrent mode and you use it throughout your application, or you wouldn't. But they thought about that, and basically they're not going to be doing that. It's going to be concurrent features which you can use or not use, and it's basically just a hybrid of normal React as we use, and those concurrent features. That's gonna make upgrading much easier. That's one. And also all of the features that are in this release, you don't really need to use them. You can use them if you want, but they're like back compatible with the previous versions. So let's look at how we're gonna be upgrading to that.
It's just an npm install. I don't think we need to see how to upgrade it.
No, not just an npm install. You can see. Yeah, so we have a new renderer. You need to create a root tree, and that's gonna be one of the changes. And also some of the APIs are changing, so it's not gonna be that easy just to install.
You can't just npm install into the new React version, right?
Yeah, but it's not as difficult as it was thought to be when we were first introducing it in one of our streams, I think.
Yeah, that's true. At one of our streams, it seemed like this would be like a lot of changes to even upgrade to the new React version. This actually doesn't look like too much. This can be done in a day if no breaking changes happen for some reason.
Yep, sure. So also with React 18 we have a lot of updates to the server rendering. I'm not sure about the React server components.
Yeah.
They should be included in this release, but it doesn't say anywhere here. But basically just with server-side rendering, it's supporting a lot of these cool features. Hydration, yeah.
And there is automatic batching, which is great. And now it's only if you just call the two setters, it batches to one, and it will only render once, not twice. And that's, I think, a huge performance improvement.
Okay, but if like with this batching, it says here that it's kind of a breaking change, and that's really good that you outlined it actually, because we can see that. We could like do a set timeout and then do the setters after it. But right now, React is gonna put everything into one update like cycle.
Yeah.
And that can break some change, some features actually. If you were using that, if you want like 2 state updates at first and then after timeout, it's not gonna work anymore.
Well, that's true. The only reason, like, I remember I had this issue like a long time ago as well, is where I needed a state to update, and then only to after, once the update is done, I need to run some logic. Usually how that goes is you add a use effect in order to be able to run that logic and check for that specific state change. What I would like for React to do is actually to introduce a synchronous state setting, which for now is not really possible, but I have seen some packages that we should discuss.
You want asynchronous state fetching?
Yes, I do.
So you're gonna love one feature of
the flush sync.
Oh yeah, so flush sync actually helps with those repetitive state updates. But if you're talking about asynchronous things, there's actually one very interesting concept in React 18, and that is transitions. Yeah, so it doesn't like show here. It's gonna be in the final release documentation. But basically, I found, so it's quite an old article because this use transition has been for a while. But you can actually have suspense, and then you can also do state updates while it's waiting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty difficult to actually explain in words, and we don't have a good example. But if anyone's like familiar with what suspense does, it basically allows you to asynchronously await inside of a component with no effects, with nothing. So now this suspense mechanism is getting a major boost, and you can simultaneously in the same component await and also use state updates which are like prioritized. So that's a lot of words.
Yeah, but it works. I guess that's what React was missing. But I wish they added a more simple way to do this. I guess what you're saying is you can run suspense, right? And then do the state updates while suspense is running?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, the reason for that, you still can't await the state setting. You can't like asynchronously do like one state set, wait for it to finish, and then do another one.
Yeah, so that's like right now we're doing with use effect.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And this is a feature that React has been missing for a long time because I can't even count on my fingers probably how many times I ran into the situation where I need to add a use effect in order to do like things one by one. So I guess that's what that was what I was waiting for the most, and it wasn't introduced into the release candidate. Oh. So I was quite sad, but the other features look good.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like we're gonna use them directly, a lot of those things, but for library creators, I think it can be very powerful. We can see,
of course.
Library updates that you can just use with hooks. I think it's gonna be good integrations.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah, so as we said, this production release is coming in the upcoming weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So let's stay tuned and try React 18. Okay. Now, what do we have next? TypeScript. So we really like TypeScript updates. Is that right, Timas?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, they're not the most interesting, but this one here has a couple of things. So a lot of like random features, and then we have something with object.
There's this control flow analysis. Yes.
Okay.
It's basically that TypeScript now knows better the type of the variable when it has union.
Oh, okay.
And that union is of two object types.
Okay, so that's pretty advanced typing right here.
Yeah, it is, but it's like it could be used for some. I can see using it in the, for example, push notifications, something like that, messaging stuff. You have some object properties, and then you have custom data.
Okay.
And based on some type, you can type other objects.
Okay.
Other properties.
That actually makes a lot of sense. This is quite useful. I think we have something like this in one of the projects where you can actually set the kind, right? And have like different typing depending on the kind that was set. It's just called a type, not a kind at that point. But also the payload can be different depending on that, and you can actually add additional properties.
Okay, yeah, so that's...
Is it not similar to this?
Yeah, I mean, we did have like string literal types before.
Yeah.
But now you can actually have other attributes have different types.
Before TypeScript knew if you had, for example, a variable that is a number or a string, you check if it's a string, then in that if scope it knows that it's string, and if you write else it knows that it's a number, but it couldn't know in that if there is an object like that. An example.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
So there are specific cases for this then, I guess. Like
I think that
push notifications are definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And also basically like config files.
Yeah.
Previously I would use something like this, but with an enum value.
Yeah.
So with an enum it used to work correctly. But now if you have just plain string, it's just one less step of writing
it's
types.
one less step. Yeah, this is nice to have, but I think we have a more exciting feature.
Okay, and what is that?
I'm not sure. I wish you told me, because like TypeScript changes are just usually just going through the source code of TypeScript and seeing what works.
So the most interesting thing in TypeScript release is actually JavaScript. So TypeScript compiler now checks JavaScript for errors, so you don't need to use TypeScript to have the type safety in JavaScript. And well, that's a bold statement because it doesn't check a lot. But I have an example here. So we have a very simple JavaScript file. We have Visual Studio Code editor, and right now with this comment, I have disabled the TypeScript plugin checking. But if I remove this, you can see I actually get errors in a plain JavaScript file, which are like TypeScript errors. So, for example, you cannot spread an argument list and then have another argument, so that you can see it's a TypeScript error. Also, you cannot redeclare const variables. You can't have two default cases in a switch, and the list goes on. It's not like as powerful as TypeScript itself, but if you're working on plain JavaScript files and you just enable the TypeScript plugin, I mean, you don't have to do anything else. It checks some of the things for you. And I already noticed that while working, that it's for some reason type checks my JavaScript file, and it's quite useful actually. I mean, these are kind of obvious.
These are the obvious cases, I guess.
But it can actually help you catch some of the code things, and if you don't want it, you can like disable it with a comment. But I don't see a reason why not to check these things.
Of course, it's useful to do this, and also prevents bugs in production code. Yeah,
and most importantly, you don't have to update anything. You don't have to do anything. If you have a latest VS Code version, it's automatically in it. I didn't need to update TypeScript, nothing. It's just inside of latest VS Code release.
That's amazing. Do we have anything else with TypeScript?
Well, I'm not sure. You tell me.
I don't think we do. It's just basic changes. Most of them are just fixes or additional features. If you want to go through just improvements. If you want to go through the documentation, go ahead and do that. But for us to go through the entire thing would take us the entire day probably to and explain everything to you and to ourselves at the same time.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And it's not that interesting. So yeah, let's just check the chat. Okay, so like if you have any questions, just type in the chat. We're gonna be monitoring that, and right now we go to the next thing. So these are two libraries that we use. A small updates. I mean, these are not that big.
Yeah.
But I just want to announce that Prettier 2.6 has updated some of its rules, and the most updates are in JavaScript and Typescript. So I don't know. We're not gonna go rule by rule, but just one thing that if you update Prettier, be prepared to have like 1,000
File changes. Yeah, because when a new version of Prettier comes out and you try to and you have auto formatting on, especially on all your files, then definitely saving a file can make changes you weren't sure needed to be made. So before you update, check the documentation of what it actually changes and what the new version does. Other than that, you should be good to go.
Yep. So that's a small update. And then we have an update for Deno. So it's a very nice JavaScript runtime. I think we talked about Deno before.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it.
Yeah, so we know that Node is like the main runtime for
Yeah,
JavaScript.
of course.
And Deno is basically Node, but with mixed up letters.
Yeah, we talked. Do you know when we talked about it?
Uh-huh.
When we talked about Aure. Yeah,
Ah.
last episode.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we are covering like.
and they are introducing the Deno into that.
So it also
Yeah.
got a bunch of updates. We have Rust compiler, which is like Rust compiler is everywhere in JavaScript world right now for some reason.
Because it's fast.
Because it's fast.
Yeah, it is, and a lot of very powerful features that make it quick and more powerful. But for me personally, the most cool thing about it is that it can actually run TypeScript and the latest TypeScript without need to compile anything. So again, like we have a simple TypeScript file with interfaces, types, etc., etc., and then we just go to the terminal. We click Deno run, and that's it. Our TypeScript file is being run. You don't need to compile it. You don't need to set up TypeScript. Deno just supports TypeScript out of the box.
That's amazing. That actually was kind of a pain to set up because you did need to install all those packages, and now you don't, and that's great. It skips us the extra step to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, all of those powerful features are not like that important as just being able to run TypeScript.
Yeah, exactly. But the powerful features are nice as well. Definitely check them out, since this is like the new node, as you would say now. It's worth checking out and keeping track of, because what if it becomes better?
Yep, sure. Okay, then we have a new ECMAScript proposal.
Yeah, we do, and it's actually one of the best proposals I've seen yet.
Okay.
It's the next best thing since map.
Okay, that's ambitious.
It's basically types as comments. So there was this like thought before that to actually introduce typing into JavaScript and make it possible so you can use it or not use it. It's your choice. But the JavaScript people actually really hated that, because the main reason they started getting into JavaScript is because of the dynamic typing. It's because that you can assign a string and a number to that same variable. And so people got angry about that decision, or that idea that even if that would be possible. So this proposal right now is actually one of the best ones, because instead of introducing types into JavaScript, it will allow us to simply type types as comments.
So JavaScript ignores them.
Yes, JavaScript.
But we can use some tools to actually type check.
Yes, exactly. For example, if you open Visual Studio Code up and it's in JavaScript, you don't get type checking right now. But
you do get some TypeScript.
yeah, you do get some type checking, but not like the entire interface values. But if you're on a TypeScript project, it does all the type checking like you would normally get. And I think now, if this proposal passes, instead of using TypeScript and writing all those interfaces, we'll just be able to add some comment lines and use those as interfaces for the code below.
So basically, you have a file that your code editor understands and checks.
Yes.
But you don't need to compile it to run.
No, you don't at all. And you get all the typing capabilities of TypeScript without needing to build it. Because, for example, in dev builds, if you open a React dev server on TypeScript, right?
Yeah.
Right now, when you save each file, it recompiles and fetches all the types again, right? And double checks them, which takes, depending on your computer speed, if you're on an older laptop, that might take a while. I once got stuck on that screen for like 2 minutes because I compiled more than one file. But with this, it would just skip the TypeScript compilers completely and skip all those comments and just compile and just run the basic JavaScript that you wrote.
Nice. So basically, it looks like TypeScript. It does not support all of the features, but it has like basic type annotations. Yes. For functions, for variables, but it's still a JavaScript file that you can run.
Yes.
So that's really cool, but again, as with all of things with JavaScript, it's gonna take some time for all browsers to implement, and it's even gonna take some time to approve, because right now it's only in
Stage zero.
Stage zero. It's only a request, but I've seen that a lot of blogs, especially like development blogs, actually support this proposal. So I think this should get moved to stage 1 quite quickly and actually be presented, because when this proposal got submitted, it got a lot of attention from YouTubers, developers from everywhere, and everyone that I've read about actually supports it fully. So we'll see, but I think this feature might get fast-tracked a bit.
Yeah.
Through those stages.
Yeah, that might be okay, but that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a good feature.
Okay, and then we have one more article. So this is a very interesting issue, and I'm not sure if a lot of people have heard about it. It basically targets Vue.js developers. So we know the situation right now in Europe with Russia's war against Ukraine. So everyone is trying to do their best to support Ukraine. And one of the developers of NPM packages actually included in their NPM package some hidden functionality that basically is kind of a protest, anti-war. So the idea is like this. So there's this package called node-ipc, and one of the most used things that are using node-ipc is Vue.js. And on March 8th, I think, the maintainer has updated that package to include a piece of code called peacenotwar. And basically what it does, it actually creates a text file on your desktop, names the text file as wait, where it is? There was a name there somewhere. Yeah, so basically names the text file with love from America. And inside of that text file is all of the relevant information about the war in Ukraine and about what Russia is doing wrong, and well, basically these kind of things. So while it's actually a security vulnerability inside of NPM,
yeah, it is,
and it shows how easily it can be targeted against like bigger frameworks like Vue.js. It's a transitive dependency vulnerability. So basically, something like we had with this other package called
Log4j, Log4shell.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, also.
Yeah.
So, but this time it's not like it's not essentially bad. It's a protest against war.
But it can be easily be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So the main question is probably the creator of those packages just lost their trust. But I think it's still like quite good to show.
I think it's worth it. Even if the creator lost the trust of some people, he gained a lot of trust from others.
Yeah, exactly.
Because showing that you're willing to sabotage your own package in order to spread information and the truth about what's happening in the world. I salute this man. He knew what he was doing and he did it right.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, but if anyone's interested, right now this has been removed. It has been removed by npm from npm, and it's also removed from Vue.js dependencies. And you can also opt out of it. In that text file, there were instructions how to
how to actually fix the issue.
Yeah, but it's basically just to grab attention to this really important thing that we are dealing, all of us right now. There's how to mitigate the issue. I think that's the last story that we have, and so that was quite quick.
I think this is the quickest JS news we've ever did, and we've actually covered all the main points.
Yeah, probably. So thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.
And see you next time, probably in a month or so.
Probably in a month, while we have more news.
Yeah, okay.